Hello friends, just wanted to show you here with the American Previa. This is a much easier job because this guy here is on this side of the steering column on the left hand side of the vehicle, so this is already out of the way. And then getting access to where the strut is stop shaking, where the strut is a lot easier to get access to. And I also found that with my TCR11 and my TCR11, getting access to here was easier. I should say 1994, but they are TCR10 models. This model is a TCR11. I have other things in the way. I have cruise control and so forth, and it's just, you can see it's not easy access to get in there. So I'm going to try and, instead of coming through the top, I'm first going to try and get, this is a light dimmer control, that is a lights on warning. I'm just going to take all them out of the way, see if I can get access to the top of the bolts from inside here first, like you see on the Previa installs, strut installs, and see if I can get access to into here. The wire mess under here, some of it existed before I got the van, some of it exists because I added it. So that's not my concern. I can push wires aside. I just want to get access to those top bolts, or the top nuts I should say. So I'll get these few things out of the way and see what I can do. I'm just going to show you the strut itself first. See how oily it is in there? Have a listen to it. All the gas is leaked out and it's just making a whole bunch of noise when driving, so I need to pull it out. So I'll be using them off the parts van that I've got. Those I believe those struts were changed not long before I got that van, so they should be, well, not new but hardly used. Okay, I can get my hands in there. Turn this light on. I can get my hands in there, but I still got this in my way. You see that black bar there? So 3 12 mils, and I can remove that. There's one on the top of the dash, one there, one down there. See there? Mind the mess. I'll try and clean that up once I got the strut changed. So I got one there, oh, one up the top behind this guy. I'll get that out, and it should give me a bit more arm access to get to those top bolts, top nuts. Okay, well you can see here, I can get access to this front nut easy, and the one there easy, but the other one over here is behind the factory harness. Can't be done from under the dash. I'm going to have to remove the cluster like I did in the first video, and I do apologise for the first video being bad quality, as I only had the van for less than 4 weeks when I made that video, and when I was trying to make it, the person that was with me kept on thinking I was talking to him, so that video became a silent video. I had no sound to it, had no speech over with it, so I was only learning back then. Hopefully my videos have gotten better quality over the years, but anyway, it's still hard to do. Trying not to shake at the same time, giving you a good look in there. Right, I'm gonna have to pull the top of the dash out. Okay, so off the dash mat, got screws to undo. There's normally 2 screws there and on the other side, but I only ever put it back in with one. And there's normally 2 screws underneath this, so you have to take the gas tray out and the door out and everything. There's videos on how to do that to get access to the 2 bolts underneath that holds that cover on. I never put those bolts back in, so I don't have to worry about that. I've only got the 2 screws to undo there, and I can pull my head unit out. Okay, I'm not going to take the head unit right out. I'm going to just leave it sitting in there. I only need to get this screw and this screw here out so I can get this cover there off. The tricky part is over here. You need to wedge in something here. I'm actually going to use filler gauges to wedge in there, because you need to get that out first before you can pull over there, otherwise that's all going to break. It's happened to me before, so trust me. So just showing you there. Just get the filler gauge in there, pop it out. I do that first, and then I shouldn't need the filler gauge here, but this is the part that I've got to be careful with. So take your time with it, have patience, don't force it. It will come out eventually. You just got to find that right sweet spot, and it will come out. This cable here is to my dash cam, which I can now install that properly since I'm going to have everything apart. Now you can see perseverance. It took me probably a good 5 minutes of just being nice to it, not forcing it too hard. There's really nothing that holds that on. It's just awkward to get out. So you find that sweet spot, just moving it back and forth about 3 mil to 5 mil, and you finally find that spot that wants to come out. Now what I've got to do here is remove 4 screws to get that cluster out, and that's going to give me a better eye view of down there, like I showed in my very first video of doing struts. And that was 9 years ago I put these in, so it had a good run. And then I'll, with the light underneath there, I'll be able to see that one bolt that I can't access from underneath, and then it's not too hard from that point on, I guess. Okay, another important thing I forgot to mention, the Taragos, we have a wire that connects the gear selection here to this shift, and the Previas are electrical, so Previas they unplug, but with the Taragos we have to get under here, and you got to bring it down so you can reach it. So that's it there. If it's in park you won't see it, so you got to take it out of park. And if the stupid phone would focus, anyway, you can see what I'm doing. So you can take that out, and that's the wire there. That's just let that hang loose there. Now you can take it out. Now you can get access to taking this further out. See, there's that wire there underneath. You get the cluster out. You'll need 2 hands to do that though. Okay, so now I've taken the side vent cover off. Take this duct out. It's not too hard, it's just got to wiggle it out of there. And that's it there. Now you can see I have a lot more access to get to that top bolt. I still have to get it from the top though, because I don't know if the camera will show you in there. You can see where my hand is. Probably not. Get in there, come on, get that right angle. See the harness here? That's where the nut is, just on the other side of that harness. So you can see that there, can't you? Trying to get that sweet spot so you can see it. Anyway, you know where it is. It's easier to get it in extension for us up the top here and come down to it, and then I can get a span onto these other 2 and drop that. So now that I'm this far, it's now 6 o'clock at night, so I'm going to continue this tomorrow. I just wanted to get a start on it today. Just showing you here, I was able to get to that one with a power ratchet. The others I won't be able to reach with that power ratchet, it's too big, but I can do it by hand. But I don't know, you can see in there. I do try to show you everything, but the phone doesn't always want to. The position isn't always the easiest to get to. But anyway, I can see in there. I just can't get the camera in there to show you. So tricky. Anyway, you get the idea. I'm not going to muck around with this forever. I'm able to get this power ratchet into there to undo that 12mm at the back there. That's on the other side of that harness. And the others I'll undo by hand with a standard 12mm spanner. And you can see this one here and the one in line further back up there. If you didn't have such a chunky power ratchet like mine, you could probably get in there and do both of those at the same time. But I'm going to have to use a spanner for them. Okay, so they're both loose. I've just got them twisted to the top of the thread for now. I'm going to jack the van up, get the wheel off, and undo the rest of the strut before removing them. But you can see how filthy that is from the busted strut. It's just all the oil and everything's coming out of the strut, just going everywhere. So I'm going to get some degreaser in there first, clean the area up so I don't wear all this. Okay, bit better. I'm not going to get the hose in here and do all that. I'll clean it all up properly once the new strut and everything goes in. For my van, I have an ABS sensor as well. Not all vans have ABS, so the TCR11, TCR21 does. With the strut, also remember that before you install them, put a cut in them so you can put the brake lines on and off without having to disconnect and having to re-bleed. So now it's just basically get the brake lines loose, get the sensor off, and then I can undo these two 22mm nut and bolts, and that's hanging. Then undo the two 40mm at the top, and yeah, she's out. So I'll get into loosening everything else off here and then show you. Just a quick look here, you can see I'm busy undoing the sway bar arm there. Now this is all loose, so you don't have to worry about the sway bar pressure or anything like that. It's going to cause a problem. It just slips out. Yeah, pretty much one bolt here to go. That's off. Brake lines, sensor just pulls out, the ABS sensor if you have ABS. Yes, and she's about to drop. This is pretty much from this point on, it's no different to any other car really. It's just getting access to the top bolts. And I'll show you access to the left hand side, and I don't need to show you a full clip of removing the left hand side and putting it back together, because it's no different to doing this side really. But the access to the bolts is much easier. Okay, that's it. I've just got the knuckle roped off and the sensor back here to stop any dirt getting into there for now. Let me remove the nuts from the top there, and I'll hold on to this and then we'll get it out. Okay, I'd like to say too easy, but it's not that hard really. And I want these coilovers. See if I can take it. A cactus. Look at that. Completely cactus. That's a DIY job I did ages ago. Rubber mat. Because getting those things is hard to find these days. But it's done its job too. I think it's time to make another new one of them. I might actually go and see if I can track down some generic ones, see if they'll fit. That's gone. But I want to keep these coilovers there. Or anybody that knows them, they are King Springs, heavy duty King Springs, worth keeping. Costs too much to rebuy. I'm thinking I'll reuse this one here because that's the off the parts van, and as far as I know, they were only a couple of months old before he sold the van. The lady blew the motor up, van went back to him, he had it for about a year and gave it to me. So they've hardly been used, so I'm thinking I'll probably put them on my everyday driver. And they're the Peters coil springs on the new Strut, and red and yellow go together well. Now the King Springs, well, you just read the part numbers yourself. These are for the front. I hope you can read that, but it's on the box there anyway. So that's if you want coil springs from Peters or Kings. The difference is the Peters is stronger, or going to give you more lift, because put them at the same point here. You can see that turn there. That's where the, so you can see that they're about the same right there. Now I'll just set them up side by side properly like that. And you can see the Peters is a little bit longer. It's half a turn more wind in the coil spring, so you're getting, well, they call these ones four-wheel drive and these are heavy duty. Either one is good, but you're going to get about, or I don't know how much actually, but you're going to get a little bit more lift out of these than what you would out of these. You get good lift out of these, and well, I can't, these ones are pressurized, but you can't really compare them. But when you're looking at the coils, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the stock. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with the Kings, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with the pedals. So that's definitely going on the four-wheel drive. I think I'll use that strut with the four-wheel drive. I do want my springs on these. I'm just going to keep them for now. I'll put these on as they are. It'll just be a stock ride. I'll keep these. I'll chuck that on the parts van. So there's the parts van there. I'll chuck them on the parts van without the springs, just so the van can be steered out of the backyard. Doesn't need suspension, just needs to be able to steer it. So the van's going to look very lowered when I get back on with no springs. That's alright, might rub out, whatever, but who cares. That's exactly what I'll do. I'll keep these for the next time I do the struts, and I'll get these ones put together soon for the four-wheel drive. I'll put this one on right now for my everyday driver, and hopefully I get a few years out of them. I know the van's going to sit a bit lower in the front, and if that upsets me, then I might be back into this sooner than I think. We'll find out. But anyway, just trying to make my job easier for now. We'll get these in. Well, I'll get this one in, and I'll get them sorted out later. So I'm putting the strut back in now. I'll refer this one over to Sammy to explain how to put it back in. But basically, the bottom's done first. You push the strut up, then you can finish everything off here. Just leave it loose before getting up there and lining up those bolts. And while I'm mentioning Sammy, please go over to his channel. He's called Previa Legend. He does magic work with Previas in America, so jump over to his channel and subscribe as well.
I'm gonna put this strut mount up on here on the hole. Okay, so it's not that difficult thing, kind of tricky, but you use one of the finger here to find the hole, the 3 hole there that the stud goes onto. Once you find it, you raise the strut up, and you put the stud, one of the stud here into the hole. Line up as much as you could. Right there, I think I got it, and then simply just turn right there, okay? And I'm going to put these 3 nuts in on top of the strut mount to hold it.
Okay, so that's all back in. The 3 nuts at the top are back in. I can remove this jack now. Tighten everything up. Now you'll probably notice that I don't have your standard brake lines. That's because I thought high performance brake lines would have been better. Big mistake. They work, so I'll leave them, but I wouldn't do it again. I would leave the factory brake lines in. So yeah, don't go getting any bright ideas like I did. That was when I first got the van. I did that because I had a leaking brake line. I've just bought new brake lines that were like this, and the SCA approved, or SAE or something like that approved. They have to be, otherwise they're illegal. Okay, well that's it for this side. It's looking pretty now, all nice and cleaned up, degreased, and I just got the 3 nuts at the top to do, and then I can get busy on the other side. And I almost forgot, you got to put this back in as well. The 2 bolts, 1 nut. So don't forget to put that in. It's a dash support, and I'm not going to be putting all this back together yet, just making it so the van can move again. And it's going to be parked out the back, and I'm going to work on this wiring before I put it all back together, so I tidy it all up. Okay, so you can see on the passenger side, it's reversed for America. It's the other side, passenger side. I'll just pull this cover here out. It was fighting me to come out, but then slides in. Okay, so there you go. Access to the 3 bolts. Turn the slide on. Access to the 3 nuts at the top there. Easy peasy. So I've already got the bottom part undone. Okay, you can see that there, just undo the 3 top nuts and she just drops down there. Now I'm ready to remove these and pull her out. It's a good thing I'm changing it to, because the passenger side is starting to give way too. See the oil leaking out of it? These second handies will do for about a year before I buy some new ones and replace them again. It's just to get by, because I need to keep the van on the road for now. Okay, so that's it. Left hand side all cleaned up, all put back together, looking good. Put the wheel back on now. So with the right hand side, if you do have a TCR11 with all those cables underneath there that you can't get access, that you can't see the bolts and everything and so forth too, I find removing this so I can look down and put some light down there to help, does help me locate that nut so I can remove it. You don't need to remove the cluster, because my head unit is already not bolted back in properly. It's easy for me. It's only a 5-minute job to pull the cluster out, but it could be an hour job if you've never had if the head unit has been put in properly with the bolts underneath it or the nuts underneath it. You know, might be too much effort to try and do that. So but you have you've got enough access under here. I just find it easier to look through there, and if you can drop last time I did this, I used the socket going down that way for an extension arm. This time I didn't. This time I did everything from underneath. I just used this as a sight hole to get access to that nut that is behind that wiring harness. Anyway, this old girl's done quite a few Ks already. This is a UK cluster, but it's got the original speedometer behind that. I just removed the one from the UK and put the one that was from the other cluster behind it, so it's got the correct kilometers. And that's this job done. So yeah, thanks again for watching. Hopefully you can take something away from this one. There's already a few good videos out there. Sammy's done a few excellent ones there, so again, please go over to his channel and subscribe to him. She sits much lower now with the OEM coil springs. I won't like that. That's just too much to get used to, so I'll put up with it for about a year and then change this again and put those king springs back in. As always, thanks for watching. I appreciate you all for being here, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers.